Hello and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. Today we're talking about Neymar, the Brazilian princess of PSG. So I brought two of the princesses of the FD office.
Nice, I like that.
Michael McCubbin and James Wayne are joining me, and we're going to be talking about Ale Legav 99's question. What a Twitter handle. And he has asked, with Neymar angling for a move, will we see the PSG project fall apart over the next 2 seasons? But before we get stuck into that, please can I do a quick reminder to subscribe to EuroFootball Daily and hit that notification bell to never miss a video. We do videos like this all the time, along with lots of other good stuff, so please don't miss out. But we had to talk about Neymar today. There's been lots of developments this week about his future. Leonardo, the new sporting director of PSG, replacing Andre Henrique, has said only one thing is certain today. He is under contract with us for the next 3 years. Barcelona haven't offered a financial offer yet, but they are supposedly interested in him. Leonardo then said Neymar can leave PSG if there is an offer that suits everyone. So it appears that the enigmatic Brazilian's 2-year spell in Paris might be coming to an end. McCubbin, what are your thoughts about Neymar and this whole situation?
I think, weirdly enough, I feel like this could be a situation that could work well for all the parties. Obviously, Neymar clearly dissatisfied in Paris. I just don't think the move has really gone as he would have liked. 2 seasons, probably would have expected to at least have got to a Champions League semi-final. Having said that, he obviously has had a big impact on the field for the club. 1.2 expected goals and assists per 90 is pretty excellent. 34 goals and 20 assists over the last 2 seasons. Obviously this year was disrupted quite a bit by injury and bans, but the season before he was on absolute fire. But from his own perspective, clearly I think he's gone down in kind of world football's kind of estimations, as it were. Mbappe's taken the kind of what would you call it? The mantle at PSG, and where Neymar 2 years ago was easily considered the third best player in the world, the kind of natural heir to Messi and Ronaldo for that kind of Ballon d'Or spot. He just isn't anymore, and I think actually, in my opinion, I think he's still easily in the top 5 players in the world ability-wise. I just think his kind of off the field attitude problems or whatever, relations with the club, and I don't know, his kind of public image has just taken that hit, whereby I think just in general people just don't view him quite as I don't know, a magical kind of player as they used to. They've kind of seen maybe the kind of negative aspects of his character in general, where that wasn't really the case at Barcelona. But I kind of digress about that. That's not necessarily so important when it comes to this, because I just think if PSG can get, say, Ousmane Dembele from Barcelona as part of any deal involving Neymar going back there, then I think they'll have done pretty well. I think Ousmane Dembele was clocking up about 0.8 goals and assists, expected goals and assists per 90 for Barca over the last 2 years. So. And he's had his own problems at the Camp Nou. So
yeah, you can say that again.
moving to Ligue 1, which is you do tend to get more chances. I think that could be really beneficial. And he's 4 or 5 years younger than Neymar. I don't think it will necessarily see PSG regress over the next 2 years, because essentially the only way they could regress is by losing out on Ligue 1 titles. They don't seem to have any really serious challenges. Aside from Monaco 2 years ago. Champions League wise, the only way is up for them really, because they are perennial bottlers when it comes to the last 16 quarterfinals. And as we saw this season with Spurs, you don't have to have a crazy star-studded squad to get there. You just have to get the rub of the green at the right times. You have to have an excellent manager, and they do have that in Thomas Tuchel. Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one with PSG, because clearly as a club they would have expected more 10 years down the line from that takeover. But Neymar is not the be-all and end-all. He has had a great impact on the field in general, but yeah, he's not the be-all and end-all.
Yeah, you make an interesting point about the Champions League. It's so interesting how things can change in a single moment. I mean, they were going through against Man United in the last 16, battered them at Old Trafford. And then Kimpembe got given a pretty harshly adjudged handball, and Rashford scores a penalty and they go out on away goals, I think. And then Man United go on to get thrashed by Barcelona in the quarters as everyone expected. James, what do you think this has an impact, the sort of Neymar situation, on how willing clubs will be to go big for players, superstar players in the future?
I think it's like, personally, I think Neymar has kind of, I won't say tarnished, but discredited himself in terms of his public appearance and his footballing ability, the way people think about him anyway, from going to PSG. Because, I mean, when he was at Barcelona, he was part of that magical front three, the MSN. Everyone just loved, everyone in that front three. They were absolutely banging goals, phenomenal to watch, really exciting. And he goes to PSG, and he's not underperforming. He's still that incredible player, but people just don't credit him as they used to. You don't see him in that light, and I think he has taken a knock with Mbappe coming in as the second. I think he is actually, unfortunately for him, the second best player in PSG. So it would be good for him to get out if he wants to kind of excel. But for big players going, I know it's a hard one because at the moment we've got huge players who can't move clubs at the moment. You've got Gareth Bale, you've got like Coutinho, you've got Icardi to a degree. And you got all these big players who can't move clubs.
Pogba
I think
as well.
Pogba as well, yeah, definitely. Neymar's in that category of big players who can't move, and I don't think big players. I think people are changing the way they view transfers. I think PSG themselves, I think they said they don't want egos anymore. I think that's it's the smart way of doing things. We've seen clubs going for PSG especially, going for big players, the biggest, hopefully, Neymar was the shock. It was so shocking when they signed Neymar. It was like, okay, we're putting a statement down, but the statement hasn't worked. They haven't progressed since. They're achieving the same things. They haven't gone backwards, but they're still achieving the same things. So I think we've seen this season that they've signed. I can't remember the players now.
Sarabia.
They got Herrera on a free.
Yeah.
They've got these, making smart signings instead of going for the big. I think it was 16 million the fee for Sarabia. So these are sensible figures for sensible players, and I think that is the way to go. Big players, it's hard for them to get the move because the fees now are horrendous. Like that transfer changed everything in terms of the market. The players are now too unrealistic for anyone to sign. I think people are demanding, Joe especially, is demanding like 180 million plus somebody else for Pogba in terms of going to Real Madrid and stuff like this. These are fees that clubs can't spend. FFP will hammer, anyone for spending that amount of money.
And all those superstars are older now as well, aren't they? I think 3-4 years ago, in this market, you'd be looking at it. But it seems like all these kind of players who are wanting to move, they're just either on the precipice or just over the kind of mark of being like, this is an investment for the next 7-8 years. Just none of them fit that bill anymore.
Yeah. The spending point is really interesting actually, because PSG have spent over the last 3 years about £425 million, and 330 of that has gone on Neymar and Mbappe. Yeah. And so that's pretty much under 100 million in the last 3 years on the rest of their squad. And during that time, they've got rid of some big players that could have made a massive difference in their run for the Champions League, like Lucas Moura, Matuidi, Serge Aurier, Gonzalo Guedes. And this summer, they've then gone and lost Rabiot, Buffon. And their squad looks so imbalanced now. They've in centre-back and central midfield, they've got loads of options. But at left-back and right-back, it's now Dani Alves is left. So they've got Thomas Meunier and Dagba at right-back. And then I think it's Kurzawa and Juan Bernat at left-back. And then their backup forward is either Di Maria, which is a pretty good option to have, and then it's Choupo-Moting. Like the balance of their team is just being completely screwed up. And obviously Sarabia can play a variety of positions and seems like a great addition. But then they've missed out on some big names as well. Why are they going for De Ligt this summer when they need to strengthen their fullback areas and then, recruit across the forward line? They always go for these big marquee signings rather than actually thinking what do they need for what's best for the team in the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, you look at the mould of City. I'm sorry to bring it to City, but it's a team I know the best.
Let's compare it as well.
It's the fact that an extremely wealthy team, criticised for being extremely wealthy, but the way they go about business is completely different. City do spend a lot of money, but they spend a lot of money in, let's say, that kind of 40 to 60 million region of players that are good at the moment but could progress into the kind of the world.
As well,
and the young 20s we'll see if they hit their prime and hope for the best, and it has worked out really well. Bernardo, nobody would have expected him to go on to achieve what he has when we signed him. Sane was a great prospect. We signed, and he's flourished. You could say Sterling. All these players have come into the team as good players and have flourished from that. And you haven't seen us break the bank too that much of a degree.
Well, yeah.
Yes, you've seen Mendy at 50 million, which was like at the time the most expensive defender, but that's been beaten because it was still relatively low fee.
Most expensive goalkeeper,
post Neymar, I will say
goalkeeper,
post Neymar.
Defender, midfielder. I can't think who's the most expensive striker, but I don't think any of them have been signed from City.
But it is, obviously, I'm not saying City don't spend money, but we spend money in that region of good players that can progress to go on, to do great things. I think that is the mould that maybe PSG might take now, because it seems to be successful, because you set yourself up not only for the season, that you're currently in, but the next 2, 3, 4.
Definitely.
And I think it's also just like a lack of kind of long-term planning, because it's not like PSG haven't invested in youth. That they bought Lucas Moura when he was a young, very exciting prospect. I think they got him ahead of Man United at the time. I think, was that when Fergie was still around? I'm not really sure, but it's just more. I don't know. I just think there's more, like there's the kind of management side of it as well, where, like, say for example City, or take Liverpool as well with the kind of Jurgen Klopp project. You've got a framework there, and a manager there who's seemingly there for a long time, and the players are buying into it. Whereas you've had a bit of swapping and changing at PSG over the years,
100%.
managerially. The kind of actual playing style hasn't always necessarily been fixed. And like you were saying, I don't think this kind of squad imbalance has always been a kind of bit of a running theme, I think, at the Parc des Princes, especially when they had Moura, Draxler. They had a wealth of attacking options only a year and a half ago, and now that seems to have dried up. So I think there's just lack of cohesive planning, letting talented players go like Lo Celso, like Jonathan Akone as well from the academy going to Lille.
Moussa Diaby's just gone to Bayer Leverkusen as well.
So it's I think just generally just a more organised kind of approach to all aspects, not just recruitment, but also how do you nurture those talents and keep them at the club.
They've spent 125 million less than Barcelona over the last 3 years, and Barcelona are no closer to winning the Champions League than that recently they haven't been that exceptional in the Champions League. So it's interesting. You just need to get the balance of the squad right, and then we'll go from there. But McCubbs, as a sort of Barcelona aficionado, from a distance, do you want Neymar at Barca?
I wouldn't personally. I think it's just an age thing. The way that Barca have done business in the last couple of years, the kind of fees that have been thrown around, it seems like a bit of a waste when he's going to be 28 next year or this year. I'm not really sure, but I don't know. I just think he's still an excellent player. But if you're getting Griezmann in as well, not that they play the same role in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. Like if you can get a deal whereby Dembele goes to PSG and you can get Neymar in for relatively cheap, because it clearly looks like Dembele isn't fitting in at Barca, unfortunately. Or you do the same with Coutinho.
I'd rather sell Coutinho.
I would. Yeah, I probably would personally as well. But he's a little bit older, so PSG might not be as willing to take him on. I'd maybe take it, but I just don't think it's not the kind of player that Barcelona need right now, personally. I don't know who. I just think, again, I think Barca are relatively imbalanced when it comes to their forward line as well. And also it depends on which manager they get in next as well. I just don't think they need to do any more big outlays. Frankie de Jong was such a big signing and such a big statement that they can still challenge for La Liga next year. I guess maybe in a bit the same way as PSG, they just have to think 3 years down the line rather than what's going to happen next season. Because I think Real Madrid are in transition, Atleti are in transition. There's not anyone kind of majorly kind of disrupting La Liga at the moment. There's not like a huge challenger stepping up, so they're not. It's not the most dangerous time for Barca. So they've averted a couple of potential crises. And now I don't think the time is to panic right now.
No, I tend to agree. And then from a PSG perspective even, I've written it in the Scout Report, which is going out on Sunday, obviously. Not Friday, today is Friday. Getting all confused. But I think they should go for Memphis Depay if they lose Neymar. He has been ridiculously good since he's been at Lyon. I think 64 goal contributions, like 88 games. Fantastic creator. I think Payet is the only one that's created more chances than him per 90 in Ligue 1 last season. just looks ready-made for a bigger stage. I think that'd be a really easy adaptation from going from Lyon to PSG. So I'd sell Neymar if I was PSG because he seems like too much trouble, to be honest. He's also got a 6-game ban at the start of next season, 3 in domestic and 3 in the Champions League. Sell Neymar, bring in Depay, bring in Dembele, and then you've got maybe 40 million left to strengthen your squad depth. So I think that's bish bash bosh. Yeah, so that's what I would do. Jimbo, would you be Neymar, see you later?
Yeah. I mean, if I was PSG, I'd get rid of Neymar. If I was Barcelona, I wouldn't take Neymar. PSG. I think Ousmane Dembele, Depay. The one thing that confuses me is they let go of Guedes.
Yeah.
I think Guedes is still a fantastic player. Has really shone since being at Valencia, and it's like, you could even see him going back for him if they do get rid of Neymar. But if I was PSG, I'd get rid of Neymar. Depay, would be brilliant for them. I would personally go for getting Dembele over the line with the Neymar deal, just for the fact that, I mean, Mbappe's good friends with him. Being back in France, he'll probably enjoy that. Actually playing for the club, he'd enjoy that. But yeah, if I was PSG, get rid of Neymar.
And also, you need to start thinking about what they're going to do with Cavani as well, 31. But he continues to go on. So that's what we'll do with PSG if we were on their side, and we wouldn't take Neymar at Barcelona. So the project may be falling apart.
Free agent.
Yeah, so let's move on to quickfire questions. First quickfire question came in from Ladnam Ra, regular contributor. Thank you, Ladnam. Thoughts on Koscielny's situation and what it means for Arsenal? So what's happened this week, Jimbo?
Yeah, well, Koscielny's, from most of my knowledge of this has come from George, but Koscielny has said that, has not travelled with Arsenal for their pre-season.
Naughty boy.
And to my knowledge, and this could be wrong, as it has come from George, is that there's a 1-year contract extension that Arsenal have activated, and there were talks earlier on last season with Arsenal and Koscielny that Koscielny didn't want this. He wanted to be a free agent, so he's annoyed that Arsenal have done this, and he wants out. He's annoyed that they haven't got Champions League, and he's had enough of Arsenal, which it's a shame because it's immediately tarnished his Arsenal career. Like, so many Arsenal fans are berating him now, and I understand it. I'd be fuming if I was an Arsenal fan, because this is your captain, the club. Like, not even just like, this is the club captain. He's been there for so long. He's done so much for Arsenal, playing with injections every week just to be on the pitch, and it just within one action has tarnished that whole kind of image. I mean, I know it sounds really cruel, but I kind of find this funny. I really do.
He wants to go back to France. I think he just wants a final couple of years.
I think it tarnishes. It definitely tarnishes Arsenal more than it does him, doesn't it? It just paints them as a bit of a it just paints them as a bit of a joke, really, and it kind of carries on that narrative of Arsenal, like not being able to have kind of loyalty reciprocated by star players and whatnot. And I don't know, it's just
Fabregas, Van Persie,
and kind of, and I guess like a lot of Arsenal fans maybe wrongly kind of expected, Wenger going and Unai Emery coming in as a kind of a change in culture at the club, and it hasn't. It's kind of maybe got worse. I mean, alienated Özil, Ramsey went for free, didn't manage to tie him down to a new contract, and now Koscielny. They really have one competent defender left now, so it's it's just a bit
really
it's just
tough
not great from an Arsenal perspective. They need to dip into the transfer market desperately.
This is what I was
for
about
at least
to say.
2 centre backs.
I think just because of his age and his standing, it's not as big a loss as if it was sort of 4 years ago, obviously.
Of course.
But they still haven't signed a permanent centre back, and it sounds like they're going to get Saliba over the line, but he's going to be loaned back to Saint-Etienne for a year. So they're in a bit of a mess, and the 4th spot is very much open for the taking this year, and Arsenal just get your together, really.
I mean, Tierney will probably happen, won't it?
Well,
the thing is, we don't know now with Arsenal. Like, you think, Tierney, 25 million, so many clubs would take that.
Yeah.
And it's just not happening. And it's really worrying that what is going on at Arsenal, the fact that they can't sign players, or they're struggling to by their own problems. They're creating these problems that's stopping them signing players. And they're losing players who are I'm once again going to bring this back to City. Let's say Vincent Kompany, massively injury prone, older player, can still perform when he's playing. Captain of the club. Even if he's not playing, he's seen as they were saying how good he was behind the scenes. Same with John Terry, so good behind the scenes, and that how leaders impact the changing rooms without even being on the pitch. Arsenal don't have that anymore at all. They've got one competent centre-back, one injured centre-back, and Mustafi. They now need to go in. They now need to go into the transfer market and get another centre-back while still trying to get Tierney over the line, which for some reason is being delayed. They can't do that business. How the hell are they going to get a replacement in?
I don't know how we've managed to do this without Chris Hamill, but I think that was the longest quick-fire question answer of all time. So we'll move on to the next one, which is going to be much quicker, I assure you. And it comes from Feginator, and she has asked, which two of the Milan clubs have had a better summer so far? McCubs, very quickly.
Oh, that's really tough. Difficult one, because Inter, I'd like to say Inter just because they got Conte in, and that's massive. But their transfer dealings have been a little bit topsy-turvy, haven't they? The Lukaku deal is really up in the air.
So Dzeko,
really odd deal. Yeah, Dzeko hasn't happened. And they're clearly trying to get rid of Rajan Anglan, but I don't think anyone wants him. So
and Icardi as well.
And Icardi. So that's I think maybe more chaotic summer. I think Milan, Teo Hernandez, really good signing. I can't even think of who else Milan have picked up this summer. But
they brought someone called like Krunic from Empoli or something like that. I might have mispronounced it. Who's like going to be a squad player, an attacking midfielder. Who had a good year at Empoli last year. But I think they've been reasonably quiet. But there's talk of quite a big turnover in the next couple of weeks. I think Lucas Biglia wants to leave, and there's various players that have now been released to bring down the wage bill as well. Gianpaolo's come in and wants to play 4-3-1-2. So I think they need another striking option at least to play alongside Piontek. So it's going to be really interesting actually. James, if you had to say Milan or Inter?
Michael's already covered it. Inter, just purely for the fact of Conte.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest signing they could do a player, in my opinion.
Yeah, fair enough. I think they'll be in the discussion for the Serie A title next year at least. And we'll finish with a quick one. Blaugrana 77454 even has asked Wimbledon predictions. McCubs is our resident tennis fan on this panel.
Yeah, am I?
Potentially.
On the panel,
I've been watching it this week. I don't know. I'd love to see Nadal win Wimbledon. It's been a long time since he did. Maybe over 10 years. Was it like this? I mean,
their last final meeting was in 2008.
It may well have. I mean, I think that was their last meeting at Wimbledon at full stop. So I'm super excited for the Federer and Nadal game today. It may well have. I don't know whether it will wrapped up by the time this goes out. So I might well be wrong, but I'd love to see Nadal beat Federer and then beat Djokovic in a Titan clash in the final.
Yeah, the thing that always worries me when Federer and Nadal play, it always takes so much out of them. So I just see Djokovic winning it quite easily against this guy called Bautista Agut, who's given up his stag do, who thought he was going to be free this weekend and isn't anymore. James, what would be your ideal stag location?
Not Wimbledon. I'm glad you moved it because I don't really have a clue about Wimbledon. To be fair, I don't really.
Where's the Wayne Stag taking place?
God, that's you put me on the spot too much here. I'd rather talk about Wimbledon, to be honest. No, I don't know anything about Wimbledon. Don't know anything about Stag. Don't know anything about anything. I'm just here
as Stag or Wimbledon.
Serena to win the women's though, right?
Yeah. Andy Murray and Serena to win the doubles if they're still in the doubles.
Oh,
there we go. There goes. I wanted Wilfried Tsonga to win Wimbledon because I like him. He seems like a nice bloke.
He is.
But he's out. Serena, Murray out. Everyone's out that I want to win.
All Wayno's favourites. All the Wayne curse continues. Yeah. But guys, thank you very much for watching Continental Club for another week. If you are still here, go and check out the top 10 that has dropped on Football Daily today. Anything you guys would like to push to? Tell them about tomorrow.
Very topical that we're both on here. Tomorrow, Football Daily, non-league vlogs, the final one of the season, probably the most fun one of the season goes live. First one on FD, so a bit of love and support will go a long way on that one.
Nice. Yeah, anything for the Dons is the theme.
What's their shout? The Dons.
Anything for the Dons.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah. Okay. Without any of that. No. I mean, you can do that.
No one's done that since 2003.
Dons. So yeah, come back tomorrow to watch that. It should not be missed. And thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.